Fellow Toastmasters, there are some common suggestions people give about how to organize a good speech. First, the opening should grab the audience's attention either by asking a question or share a surprising fact. Secondly, in the body of the speech, the speakers should present the key message with explanations and examples. Finally, the closing should reinforce the key message, answer the question raised at the beginning, or call the audience to action. All these suggestions are very useful. However, today we will focus on the body of the speech. I will walk you through the method I use, a mind map, to demonstrate how to organize a speech. So I always start from the body, the core message. For example, the purpose of my speech today is to teach people how to organize a good speech. So I put this key message in the center. And from there, I extend my idea. And I believe a good speech always comes from great stories. So then I will give my explanations and example. For example, in this case, I might say things like this. Storytelling is probably one of the most ancient jobs that still exist today. In ancient tribal societies, people gather around a fire pit at night. A person with a distinct look, expressive eyes, and strong posture told a heroic tale that entertains the crowd. And today, we sit in front of screens watching those professional actors and actresses performing the same kind of stories that still entertain us. If we look at today's news, dramas, and videos, they are all aimed for the same goal, telling great stories. If you can tell great stories, you will leave a deep impression on the audience, and that would be considered a good speech. Once I give my explanations and example, I will go back to the mind map and dive deeper. So now everybody already know a good speech comes from great stories. But what makes a story great and what doesn't? Again, I'll write down my explanations and examples. So for me, I believe a weak story is merely describes a sequence of events without any emotions. For example, if I want to share my Camino journey, a weak story would look like this. Oh, I went to the Camino and I walked for 5 days. It was difficult, but I overcame it. And I met some amazing people along the way. Finally, I reached my destination and that was a wonderful journey. How does that sound like? Yeah, very horrible. Very unexciting because there's no tension and there's no tension and emotion inside. A good story, on the other hand, creates tensions and a lot of description. Oh, I went to the Camino even though I didn't know what to expect. I walked 8 hours a day from dawn to dusk, going up and down non-stop. But things didn't go well. My feet got swollen on the second day. And the pain was so excruciating, I could barely walk when I returned to the hotel at 9. That evening, I cried in my bed, coming up thousands of excuses to quit. But the next morning, I still got up and kept walking. There's a voice in my head telling me, hey, I don't want to give up. How does that sound? Much better because there's a lot of conflict and turning points. If I want to add a third layer to my key message, I might consider tell a personal experience that just happened recently. So for example, what happened recently was I was preparing my job interview and I practiced with my boyfriend. So when he asked me about the classic interview question, hey, tell me about yourself, Karen. This was my answer. Oh, I have more than 10 years of experience in derivatives industry focusing on futures, options, and forex. And my main responsibilities including client acquisition and relationship management. Hey, stop. Do you want my honest feedback? It's boring. I mean, nobody wants to know how many years of experience you have, especially that's already on your CV. What the interviewer really wants to know is what kind of person you are. And then he demonstrated how he would answer the question if he were the interviewee. Okay, so I grew up around computers because my father started to working with them in the 70s. That means I had old computer models at home. While I was constantly experimenting with them, while most of my friends didn't have computers at all, I was constantly experimenting with them. And because of this early experience, I often end up helping my friends' parents fix their computer problems. And this being able to helping others give me a sense of achievement, and that also reinforced my interest in computers. So when I went to school, I chose computer science. That was an obvious path. And then after that, I became an IT consultant, etc. So after I heard his reply, I adjust my answer. Oh, okay. I would like to share a bit about my financial background. So I studied finance at school, and when I was in college, I studied a book called Rich Dad and Poor Dad. Although this book mainly talks about how to achieve financial freedom, but there is one concept that influenced me a lot. Sorry, I forget. Yeah, okay. So in the book, the poor dad fears of rejection, while the rich dad believes sales is an essential skill for success. I was a relatively shy girl at school, and I want to overcome the fear of rejection, also become financially successful. So I became a sales agent after graduation. Throughout the years, there were ups and downs for my career, but overall, I was enjoying it. After I finished my answer, the feedback I received was, well, it felt genuine. At least now I know what kind of person you are. So if I were the hiring manager, this is exactly what I want to hear. This incident hit me hard. Even though I have joined Toastmasters for around 3 years, sometimes I still forget the simplest yet the most powerful tool in effective communication, telling great stories. If you can tell great stories, you will leave a deep impression on the audience, and that would be considered a good speech. Once I finish my body parts, and then I will go back to craft the opening and the conclusion. So at this point, everything becomes much easier because I already know my key message and the stories I want to tell. So the opening only needs to lead the audience into the structure I have already built. As for the conclusion, it should either reinforce the key message or present a call to action. So to wrap up, a good speech starts with a core message along with stories. So next time when you prepare your next speech, Remember, start with your message, build with your story, and then let everything else follow, because a good speech always comes from great stories. Thank you.